Greetings dear children. In this video we will be watching a visual chronicle of Roman conflict. Caesar triumphant. After defeating Pompey's sons in a civil war, Julius Caesar returns to Rome in triumph. His victory marks the end of a Roman Republic's balance of power and rise of Caesar as the most powerful man in Rome. A turning point that sparks fear, envy, and seeds of betrayal. Here we see shadows beneath the celebration. The Feast of Lupercal, a festival celebrating fertility and the Roman gods, takes place on 15th February. During this event, young men run through the streets of Rome, striking women with whips made from goat skin to promote fertility. This event sets the stage for a significant moment in Julius Caesar when Caesar is offered the crown and the political tension in Rome begins to rise. The feast symbolizes Rome's ancient traditions and foreshadows the growing conflict surrounding Caesar's power. The crown of ambition. During the Feast of Lupercal, Mark Antony offers Julius Caesar a crown 3 times. Each time Caesar refuses, put it by. This dramatic moment is a key point or a turning point revealing Caesar's desire for power and the people's conflicting response. While Caesar's refusal appears humble, his actions suggest that he may have ambitions to become king, setting the stage for rising tensions and eventual betrayal. Beware the Ides of March. As Caesar makes his way through the crowds during the Feast of Lupercal, a mysterious soothsayer calls out, "Beware the Ides of March." This cryptic warning, referring to 15th of March, is dismissed by Caesar with arrogance. However, it becomes a chilling prophecy of his assassination. The moment introduces the theme of fate versus free will and marks the beginning of Caesar's downfall. Here we see seeds of betrayal. Cassius, fearing Caesar's growing power, skillfully manipulates Brutus by appealing to his sense of honor, patriotism, and fear of tyranny. This manipulation marks the beginning of Brutus' tragic journey from a loyal friend to a reluctant conspirator. Voices of the people, or so they see. Cassius secretly sends forged letters to Brutus, pretending they are from Roman citizens, pleading for him to take action against Caesar. Written in different hands. The letters convince Brutus that people fear Caesar's rise and want Brutus to lead. This deception deepens Brutus' moral struggle and pushes him closer to joining the conspiracy, believing he is acting for Rome when he is actually being misled. A dream of blood and omens. Calpurnia, Caesar's wife, dreams of a statue of Caesar spouting blood while Romans bathe their hands in it, a powerful omen of his assassination. She begs him not to go to the Senate, sensing danger. Her vision reflects the theme of fate and ignored warnings. Though Caesar briefly agrees to stay home, Decius Brutus reinterprets the dream to flatter Caesar's ego and leading him to his death. The letter that came too late. Artemidorus, a loyal Roman, writes a letter warning Caesar about the conspiracy and naming each conspirator. He waits to deliver it on Caesar's way to the capital, hoping to save him. But Caesar ignores the letter, saying, "What touches us ourselves shall be served last, shall be last served." This moment heightens the tragedy as Caesar's downfall could have been avoided, but pride and timing seal his fate. The strength behind the silence. Sensing Brutus is hiding a heavy secret, Portia pleads with him to confide in her. She proves her strength and loyalty by showing a self-inflicted wound, declaring herself not just his wife, but his equal in courage. This emotional moment highlights Portia's depth, Brutus' inner turmoil, and the strain that conspiracy places on personal relationship. A clever distraction. Just before Caesar is assassinated, Trebonius lures Mark Antony away from the Senate to prevent him from interfering. This calculated move by the conspirators isolates Caesar and clears the path for the deadly strike. Antony, Antony's removal shows the careful planning behind the betrayal and sets the stage for his powerful revenge later. The Ides of March, a betrayal in blood. On March 15, Caesar arrives at the Senate, ignoring the warnings and omens. There, he is surrounded by and stabbed by the conspirators, including his closest friend, Caesar's angel, that is Brutus. His final words, et tu Brute, capture the ultimate betrayal. The assassination, meant to save the Republic, instead plunges Rome into chaos and war. The justifier of murder. Brutus speaks to the Roman crowd, justifying Caesar's assassination as an act of patriotism. He claims that Caesar's ambition would have enslaved Rome, and by killing him, they have saved the Republic. His eloquent speech sways the crowd momentarily. As they hail him as a hero, yet unknowingly, they are on the brink of chaos and civil war. Friends, Romans, countrymen, the art of manipulation. Mark Antony delivers a masterful speech that turns the tide against the conspirators. Using rhetoric, he subtly praises Brutus as honorable. Brutus's honorable actions while cleverly casting doubt on Caesar's ambition, all while revealing Caesar's acts of generosity. His famous line, Brutus is an honorable man, becomes an ironic repetition that ultimately stirs the crowd into frenzy, calling for revenge and chaos. The tragic case of mistaken identity. In the heat of mob's frenzy after Antony's speech, they encounter the poet Cinna, who is mistaken for one of the conspirators, Cinna the conspirator. Despite his protest, the mob violently kills him, highlighting the chaos and irrationality that follows Caesar's assassination. This moment serves as a dark commentary on mob, their mentality, and the consequences of political unrest. The final clash for Rome. The Battle of Philippi marks the decisive conflict between the forces of Brutus and Cassius and the army of Antony and Octavius. Despite early successes, the conspirators are ultimately defeated. Brutus and Cassius, overwhelmed by the loss and realizing their fate, take their own lives. The battle solidifies Antony and Octavius' control, but also seals the tragic end of men who conspired to end Caesar's rule. Portia, the silent suffering. In a heartbreaking act of desperation, Portia consumes charcoal to end her life, symbolizing the overwhelming weight of her personal suffering and the chaos of the political world she cannot control. Her death is a poignant reminder of the human cost of the political upheaval surrounding the assassination of Caesar. The haunting of Brutus. In a moment of deep guilt and anxiety, Brutus is visited by the ghost of Julius Caesar. The ghost, foretelling Brutus' doom, serves as a chilling reminder of the consequences of his betrayal. This spectral encounter intensifies Brutus' internal conflict, symbolizing his growing guilt and foreshadowing the tragic fate that awaits him at the Battle of Philippi. The appearance of Caesar's ghost signifies that Brutus can never escape the moral consequences of his action. Cassius' final command. In a moment of despair and misjudgment, Cassius orders his servant Pindarus to kill him after he believes his friend Titinius has been captured by the enemy. Unable to bear the thought of defeat, Cassius takes his own life through Pindarus' hand. His tragic death is marked by a sense of loyalty and hopelessness, as he believes that his demise will honor the bond he shared with his fellow conspirators, even though his actions ultimately stem from a fatal misunderstanding. Brutus' last command. In his final moments, Brutus, overcome by guilt and the overwhelming weight of his decisions, gives Strato the tragic order to hold my sword and then take his life. With the battle lost and his ideals shattered, Brutus chooses to die by his own hand rather than face capture or disgrace. His last command is not just an act of suicide, but a final assertion of control over his fate. Brutus' death represents the collapse of his moral struggle and tragic end of a man who believed in honor above all else. The noblest Roman. After Brutus' death, Antony declares Brutus as the noblest Roman of them all. This tribute comes after Brutus' suicide, recognizing that, unlike other conspirators who acted out of envy and personal gain, Brutus genuinely believed he was acting for the greater good of Rome. Antony acknowledges Brutus' integrity and moral struggle, noting that his actions, though misguided, were driven by a sense of honor and patriotism. This powerful statement highlights the tragic nobility of Brutus' character and the complexity of his role in the assassination of Caesar. Here we come to the end of the pictorial representation of Julius Caesar. Dear children, I hope you understood this. Thank you.